All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army match week number 13. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where we will touch on Chelsea and Lucas Paquetá seeing red, Salah sitting, and break up the Villa and Brighton. Halftime, we got a 60 minutes related weekly what if, round the world, MLS hit it and quit it playoff minute, and possibly some U.S. men's national team talk, and then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bet and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties, starting with Mr. Hit It and Never Quit It again himself, back from his wedding-related hiatus that we've been giving him more shit than he even knows about, mostly behind his back or on Discord. Welcome back, Mr. Tyler Terrans. Now, I'm not going to touch on the obvious, topic here with the fact that Liverpool had not won during your hiatus until just this past week, and then you magically show back up. We're not going to touch on that right now. You can perhaps draw your own conclusions, our good listeners. Instead, give us the biggest highlight and low light from your honeymoon.
I lost my virginity on honeymoon.
Congrats.
Come on.
Yes, nice.
No, the highlight was the sunset cruise at the first resort that we went to that turned into an absolute slop fest, shot-induced Caribbean dance line rager. It was wild, followed by a Caribbean fair barbecue on the beach back at the resort, and then a night filled with dancing and wildness ensued. Made a bunch of friends, including some people from London who, go figure, aren't football fans at all, but we make great friends with this couple from London. And yeah, that night was so much fun. Like I woke up the next morning. I don't know if you guys have done this before, when you're drinking when you're drinking multiple hours on a boat and you keep drinking and your body is used to being drunk but also being on the water. I woke up the next morning still feeling like I was on a boat when I finally sobered up, and it was a crazy feeling, much like how Liverpool fans have felt, just sick at sea for weeks on end. But I found my sea legs, and so has Liverpool.
Welcome back. Now, what was the low light?
There are no lowlights on your honeymoon. It was the best. It was the best.
Okay.
It was the best.
That's
got some great work. Got some great work related news as well on the honeymoon. So all is good. Don't ask me what, but all is good.
Well, that's just a tease. He's just teasing. Just put it out there. Stay tuned for that. Okay, good. That's a great answer. No lowlights on the honeymoon. Next up, we got Mitchell Goulet, a.k.a. Overtime Mitch. Now, while we're on the subject of judging people based on their excuses for not being on the podcast, I'm going to let you judge our good friend and co-host, Tommy McCabe, on his excuse for this week, and that was a family norovirus outbreak. So give him a grade, A through F. What are we saying?
Ooh. His family doesn't strike me as anti-vax people. I'll give him a B. I feel like that is semi-believable, but also, is that a family-wide thing? I don't know.
Oh, what do you think norovirus is? Do you think that that's something that you can get a vaccine for?
I don't know.
It's just it's like the stomach flu. It's the stomach flu.
Oh, yeah. Did he just play up my family is sick?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it sounded like. Yeah,
never mind. B to a D minus. That's awful, Tommy.
It's a stomach bug. Everybody was throwing up for 12 hours. Yeah.
Oh, fucking! It takes some Advil. Also, did he say he had it or his family had it?
Well, this is behind the scenes now because I was texting him on the side and he didn't get it, but he was worried that he was going to get it.
I texted him today too. He didn't text like he was sick, Tommy.
He was very specific with his wording. We have an outbreak of norovirus in the family. He did not say that he was stricken with it.
And functionally, how does that prevent him from hopping on a podcast?
Well, he did say that it knocked out his mom and his dad pretty good. And for people who are over the age of 50 or 55, norovirus can be you get super dehydrated, you're vomiting. It's not something to be trifled with. It knocked out my cousin at a family gathering for Babo's birthday one year where he had to go to the hospital because he was so dehydrated.
Okay.
So it's not totally out of, but the fact that he didn't even get it, and and it didn't seem like any of his family members were hospitalized. Like I give it a full F minus.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep mine at like a D minus on the off chance that it seriously affects some of his family members like today or tomorrow. But Tommy, that is a weak excuse.
Weaker than any of the ones that I've given recently.
Yours have been valid. We're still gonna make fun of you for it, but they've been perfectly valid.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey's acting like you were dead for the last few weeks. So listen, it's great to have you back. It's great to have you back. So let's get on to the good stuff, onto the Premier League. Before we do, a quick word from our friends over at Subway, where fresh baked bread. No, I'm just kidding. we're not promoting that pseudo poor people food.
Well, I'm the only one who's making sales over here. No, I didn't talk to Subway recently.
No, we're not promoting that unless they start paying us. In which case, I don't know. Call me Mr. $5 footlong or whatever. I'll change my goddamn name. No, what I am promoting though is take your butt over to Sam's Army Patreon. And $3.99 a month. That's a perfect segue. I don't know what you're laughing at, Mitch. $3.99 a month for the Sam's Army Patreon. Support the pod. Get access to the Discord and everything else. Everything that comes with it. Just trust me on that.
There's a really great community of soccer sickos in there, and it ranges from true sicko to like your average level sicko. But it's a really welcoming bunch. We're all gonna plan something for hopefully the spring of 2026 where we can like meet up, hang out, kick a ball around. I'm guessing it's Chicago because Sam is based in Chicago and I feel like we could all travel there. I'm deciding this on the fly as well. So folks, we're going to aim for spring 2026 and we're all going to hang out, but only if you're in the Discord.
Got to get in the Discord to get access to everything, including that. All right, boys and girls, weekend recap of the Premier League. So some interesting results. Unfortunately, Tyler does not have to defend himself and his club for their recent run of form because you know what, they won 2-0 over West Ham. We had Palace and United 2-1 taking the win. Obviously, the highest profile match of the weekend going in was Chelsea and Arsenal. That one was very much a red card impacted 1-1 draw. Some other stuff, but you know what? Let's go to the newbie. Well, you're not a newbie, but let's go to the guy who's showing up for the first time in a couple of weeks. Tyler, of the results, you can also choose City over Leeds, Fulham over Spurs, Sunderland over Bournemouth, etc., etc. What's the game that stands out most as most notable to you, and why?
I don't know if it stands out as the most notable because I don't know how much it's going to end up having an impact on like the greater scheme of the English Premier League table. But Sunderland Bournemouth was like arguably the game of the weekend. But obviously the game itself and the result of Arsenal and Chelsea like being the game of the weekend to me was like the most interesting with the way that it went down. I think that if you're an Arsenal supporter, you're not worried. I don't think that this is the type of year where the title is going to be decided by a slip up against the top 4 team, meaning like a point on the road. However, there were some clear alarm bells, I think, going off in terms of fatigue coming off the Bayern game, which again, fair play. Like you're playing against the other team that's probably favorites with you along to win Champions League. So like super physically, emotionally taxing game in which they put on a masterclass of a performance and came away with the win. Fair play. But then not being able to sort it out for 41 minutes following the red card, and Chelsea at times making that game look like it was, even Steven and making it look like it was 11v11 at times. So, but with that in mind, like again, I went back and forth with Tony Meal on Sirius today talking about like who would take the result more, and especially given the fact that Chelsea were coming off of a win against Barcelona and then a draw at home against the already crowned champions to be, you can make the argument for both. But I was really impressed with the first 39 minutes from Chelsea because I don't know if we've seen that level of intensity and that level of know-how from Enzo Maresca's group. And I think that Chelsea Football Club are getting back to a point where they've always had bite in them any title year that they've had. Right? Like you go back to the years of like Ricardo Carvalho and John Terry and and Nemanja Matic and those guys, and then go to N'Golo Kante, and you can even go back to Diego Costa, who was leading the front line when Drogba was like 37 and still on Chelsea, but Diego Costa was like the biggest rat in the league, but at least he was getting into battles and getting under people's skin. Like, Chelsea always has guys who are going to bloody up the game sometimes when they need to in order to get results. And it feels like they have that this year with Moises Caicedo. The only problem is that this team is still super young and figuring out where that line is. And 6 red cards this year, not ideal, but Moises Caicedo is like arguably one of the best players in the world right now, but got caught with his hand in the cookie jar from a physicality standpoint. So I'd be really encouraged if I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm not worried if I'm an Arsenal supporter, but this game, I think, was really interesting advert for both of these teams. I think more so than Chelsea, or more so for Chelsea. But yep, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Arsenal, it was a missed opportunity, I would say, for Arsenal. I wouldn't say the fact that they didn't win is some sort of, a suggestion that they're a lesser title contender or runaway title winner. It did feel like a missed opportunity, that they really didn't seem like they took the game by the scruff of the neck after the red card, which you would think that they would. So I just think it was an off game for Chelsea. I don't know. Mitch might have more on that. But my thought coming out of this game was more on the Chelsea side. I was impressed by Chelsea, perhaps, more so than most games I've seen them play this season. I mean, they obviously look good in the summer. But they just look really good. Moises Caicedo, as you said, is probably one of the best players in the world right now. That red card was bad. It was just a bad decision. I do think it's just down to the fact that he's still a kid. But yeah, I had something else to say, but I think it's the Chelsea's 6 red cards in 15 games. I talked about the fact that Tottenham is past the point of statistical anomaly in our terrible home form. 6 red cards in 15 games is kind of more than a statistical anomaly as well. So that's something that they have to clean up for sure if they have any chance of shooting for the title. But other than that, I was actually kind of impressed by Chelsea. All right, Mitch, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, echo a lot of what both of you have said. I'm not worried as an Arsenal fan, but if I were a Chelsea fan watching that match, I think I'd be encouraged by the heart that was shown from the get-go. They made it uncomfortable for us. They were very physical. You saw that. I mean, Caicedo alone got away with 2 real questionable ones real early before his sending off. I do want to dispel one thing. He's not just a child. He's 24 years old. He's a phenomenal midfielder, but he's not some young buck cutting his teeth. That's a 100 million pound player. And in my opinion, part of being one of the best players in the world, and part of being a 6, and part of defending effectively, is defending without fouling. And he got ahead of himself the entire first half. He was late into challenges. He was reckless in some of those challenges, and he was trying to impose it, which it was obvious that it was an initiative from the whole side that we're going to make this game physical, because Chelsea know that Arsenal know that we do not like physicality. We kind of like a calm game where we can possess the ball and dictate how the play goes. We can be made uncomfortable very easily. And Chelsea knew that, which is why they came out of the gates really aggressive. Caicedo, that was a really poor performance from him. And I don't think that it was just a fluke red card. I think he's a physical player, and I think he was too physical that game. All that being said, I think Arsenal dropped the ball by not scoring first. I think conceding after going Chelsea go down to 10 men is really weak. You saw the holes in our back 4 with all the injuries that we have. No Saliba, no Gabriel. And you saw that on corners as well. You saw how many of Saka's and Declan's corners went straight into Robert Sanchez's hands. Or there was supposed to be a front post runner that is usually Gabriel, and there was just nobody there filling that space. That is the inexperience of Hincapié and the rest of the back 4. I thought Chelsea made the game really choppy in that second half, which was to their advantage being a man down. And I don't think we ever really stepped up and took the game to them and made them uncomfortable, despite them having 10 men. All this to say, I still like us for a title. I still like Chelsea for top 4. We could look back at this and say, all right, we got a point at Stamford Bridge to the 2nd or 3rd place team on the season, and we're okay with that result, especially given the roster that we had healthy at the time. So I didn't take too much from it. I'm happy with a point. I think Chelsea would be happier with the 1 point.
All right. Well, we can leave it at that. I think I think we've talked it through. It was a good game. I was actually, if there's one other thing, I was disappointed about the red card because it ruined what was looking like it was going to be an awesome sort of more back and forth interesting game.
Yeah. If it had continued
that
with that cadence, I still think there would have been a red card on one side or another with that game. We had 6 yellows in the first half, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not one of those Anthony Taylor haters who just really get on him about pretty much everything, but he was throwing those cards out just a little bit too much in that game.
I thought he did it.
Yep, go ahead.
I thought so, yeah.
No, I thought he did a good job, and he actually let them play as much as he could until the Caicedo red card. Like, I thought that he let them figure out where the line was, and Caicedo took one too many steps, no pun intended. And, I actually think Anthony Taylor refereed a very good game.
I fully agree.
I think that there's ways to control a game without throwing cards.
How?
Sorry, go Mitch.
What are the ways
to the captains telling guys, listen, I'm just gonna have to throw cards left and right if you guys don't slow this down. And I don't think he ever did that. I just think he started throwing cards around, and once you start, you can't stop. And to be fair, Arsenal and Chelsea made the game very difficult to ref because they were, especially Chelsea, I thought, just being very physical. But I just thought he could have kept the cards in his pocket a little bit more.
I think all things considered, Anthony Taylor refereed a very good game for the physicality that the players clearly wanted to play with. The Caicedo red was a pretty obvious red once you go to the monitor. And all of the yellows in the first and second half felt, that's a yellow. And with as many as there were, you can't really complain about the softness of one. I think he just did a good job. But enough on this game. On to the next.
All right. We'll move on. So I'll let you go, Mitch. What of the other games, which one stands out most?
City 3, Leeds 2. This one was interesting. Manchester City have some questions to be asked if they get 1 point from this game, and even the 3 that they got came in dramatic fashion. I only watched the second half of this game, but it did feel like Leeds were up for it. It felt like Leeds were really ready to buckle down the hatches and defend the 2-2 tie that they had. Obviously, what happened in extra time happened. But I do want to bring attention to the little congregation that City had, that Pep brought his boys over to the sideline in extra time. It was 90th plus whatever. Keeper's gone down, injured per se, and Pep's able to go and give them instructions as a full team. It's a full team huddle on the sideline. Nobody leaves the field. There's nothing inherently illegal about it, but that's a timeout that you get. And that's a regroup that you get with 10 minutes or so of added time. And you get to give instructions to your team. Now, that shouldn't happen. Coaches should not be allowed to gather their team while a player is getting treatment and essentially give them an abridged halftime team talk and say, okay, here's how we're going to play the remaining 10 minutes of extra time. Maybe you could say that Leeds should have done that and should have organized better, but I think that is a glaring hole in the rules, that a player can go down injured and the entire team can congregate on the sideline, plan, and then go get a goal in extra time. Now, I do think City are a good enough team to win against Leeds, and that result probably is fair, but I don't know. Looks a little fishy for me.
Yeah, I think Pep took advantage of the situation, as any manager should do. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Leeds. It's the fact that they still had 10 minutes of stoppage time to work with. was unfortunate. They didn't need it. They scored like 1 minute into stoppage time. But I think that game is actually worth pointing out because so you have a Leeds team that has shown very little offensive bite all season. They go down 2-0 to City at City after, I think, 25 minutes or so. That's a situation where you'd never want to be in, anybody, but especially like a newly promoted club that, has not shown much offensive punch. And they came back and scored 2 goals in the second half. So, I don't know if I think they're past the point where moral victories are something, that are worthwhile for a team like Leeds. They need points. They need points very badly. So, it's not like you can go home and be like, at least we got to, we come back with a moral victory. That's not anything that they need right now, but it does show that they are, unlike some teams, actually one team essentially in the league, they are a competitive side, and that's something to build off, if nothing else. I do think it also suggests that City is, as we've been saying, this is not a City team that people should be quite so worried about. Tyler, anything to add on that game?
Nope, you guys nailed it.
All right. Quickly on other games, and I think we'll actually get into some of this stuff in the power rankings, which are back. I know Tyler's excited about that. But quickly on some of the other games, Palace and United. So Palace went up 1-0. United came back with 2 goals, both on set pieces, scored by Xerxes and Mason Mount, 2 guys that have caught so much shit over their Manchester United careers. I just had to point that out. I mean, like,
I'll tell you what, though. Joshua Xerxes played a good football match, man. He was very good, particularly in the second half. I was very impressed with the way that they played off of him, and with no Cunha and no Šeško, like that's a really good result for United and a much needed result for them. That was, I think, really important to get contributions out of both of them. And not only contributions, but like, again, for it to look like it's working, like it looks like it's coming together for United. Now they needed that one, and like it hasn't been working over the past few weeks, but I was very, very, very impressed with Xerxes. And, Mikey brought this up when Xerxes was in Serie A, that like when he was there, like he was playing sort of like this false 9 who had the green light to go drop as deep as he wanted to and not really playing as a striker. And it looked like he was doing more of that and allowing those dual 10s to run in behind him and sort of act as the pace. And he was just playing initial connector. So I was very impressed.
Yeah. Fair shout. The other game, quickly, before we hit the one other game that I do want to talk about, Spurs. This is the game I don't want to talk about, but I'll mention it anyway. We stink right now. We're just,
you guys stink. You guys suck.
We're just a bad team right now. I don't know what has happened to Vicario. He was in his first season, maybe season and a half. I was a big fan of his. I thought he was very solid. He has gone into just, I don't know if it's in his head or whatever, but that goal that he gave up where he came out and then he tried to clear it up the line instead of kicking it.
He made the right decision to come out. Like,
oh yeah, that's fine. Then kick it out of the stadium or do something. It was just a bonehead move. Our whole team stinks.
Put it this way: you guys are in 12th place. You were in 17th last year, so like progress, right?
Things are looking up. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because all our summer signings have been pretty shit so far. It's a little early.
Kudus hasn't been shit.
Okay, that's fair. Good shout. I was really thinking of Simons and Kolomwani, but and this is after Kolomwani just scored. He had a good week, but he hasn't been great, and he's also been injured. Xavi Simons, on the other hand, has been a huge disappointment, which has only sort of become more.
I could have told you that was going to happen.
Well, he's still young, and it's, it takes some time to acclimate to the Premier League. Like we've seen that with plenty of Liverpool players. Not to take shots, but
What, you want to do this?
No, not yet. We'll get there. No, but it is disappointing because we really could have used a player like him to step up into that sort of 10 role, and he just has not been that guy yet. We'll see if he gets there. At the moment, I mean, of anybody, we're most disappointed in Thomas Franks. Really thought he was going to kind of bring something to the table, and right now I don't know what he's bringing to the table, to be honest. Like we play against Arsenal and Chelsea, and we just look like sort of like scared little babies, and then we go against PSG, and we give them a good go and score some goals on them and everything, and then we come back and show absolutely nothing against Fulham at home.
11 goals in the past 3 games. You have 11 goals in a week.
Well, those, yeah, It's not great. It's not great. But most of those were, well, not most of them, but a lot of them were against Arsenal and PSG, which, those are two good teams.
There's only 3 games. You named 2 out of the 3.
Oh, those were 9. That was 9 of the 11 goals.
What are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
That's 9 of the 11 goals. We stink. I admitted that. We just stink at the moment, and I don't know what Frank's doing.
I think Mickey Van de Ven is having like a Virgil van Dijk moment where like maybe you're not as good as we think you are type deal.
I've never said that about Virgil van Dijk. If that's so, you're taking shots.
Everybody's saying that about Virgil van Dijk.
No, I just think he's losing a step. I just think he's losing a step for Van Dijk.
People thought that he was losing a step 2 years ago, and then he was all world last year.
Okay, fair. I think he's really losing a step now.
Since Liverpool's won the title, not to make this all about Liverpool, but I am for a second. I haven't been here in a while. You guys have not had to endure this, okay? The people want it. I've been asked. People have been asking for me left and right in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, get in at $3.99 a month. But people have been asking for me. Where's Tyler? I need my dose of him. Okay, same sort of thing was happening on the honeymoon. But outside of all of that, Virgil van Dijk, since they won the title, has gone good year, shit year, good year, shit year, trading every single season since the 1920 campaign. So all I'm saying is that Mickey Van de Ven has been not good for what is supposed to be one of the best bright young center backs in Europe.
Yeah, he looks a little lost. He's just as confused with.
It's not your midfielders. There's nothing wrong with Paulinho and Bentancur. There's nothing wrong with that.
In what way? Like
defensively.
Okay, fair. Defensively, true. They just bring nothing to the table offensively, so that kind of weighs on us a little bit.
Odegaard stinks. He is not a good footballer.
I've been waiting for Odegaard and Tell to kind of step up, and we haven't seen much from them.
You're going to be waiting for a while, my good friend.
There's been a lot of that recently. We're in a bad spot right now. I mean, Frank needs to kind of show us what he really wants to do with this team. And we obviously need Madison and Kulusevski back and Solanke. I keep hearing that they're like right around the corner. That would be nice. But yeah, we just stink right now. And it might get worse before it gets better. I don't know. We'll see.
Spursy is such an adjective for everything that happens to your club. Like I was thinking of, is there one word that can describe the signings that you guys make that are really, really highly touted when they come into the club and they show up and they just put up stinker after stinker, and you just have to look yourself in the mirror and say, maybe these guys weren't as good as we thought they were initially. I think Spursy is just a beautiful, all-encapsulating word for the Tottenham experience.
It almost feels like an onomatopoeia at this point in time. Like it sounds like what it actually is because of how accurate it actually is.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've made it into that, unfortunately. And by the way, what I meant was because we're about to play Newcastle up at fucking Newcastle. That's always been a tough game for us recently. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Now back to Liverpool. We got to talk about this game because it was very interesting. And not necessarily the game itself, but some of the surroundings, the things that happened, the events within the game. Slot finally benched Salah. We've been thinking that this might be a possibility for a while, maybe even a probability. You haven't been on, Tyler, to give your thoughts. What are you thinking here with Salah taking a game off?
How can you argue with it given the result? And not just the result, but the performance too. Like there was a fluidity and a level of competency in the attacking third and just overall balance in the team that has not existed. I said this on SiriusXM today. I think that specifically the new guys who have come in, your Ekatiques, your Vertzes, your Isaks, your Kirkeses, like you look at Mohamed Salah and how little defensive work he does and how everything else that exists within the team revolves around him. And fair play, last year it worked. This is a new year. He's a year older. And now it doesn't start to work. And Slot for the past few weeks up until now has sort of kept pounding on the same door. I don't know about you guys, but if I was on that team and I was either A, being left out of the lineup, or B, not being played in the proper position, whether that's Florian Wirtz or whoever it might be, and we're doing it for this guy who's not defending and who's also not producing, I'd get pretty ticked off at that. I think that I think that Arne Slot had to do this in order to save the locker room to a certain extent. I really do. And you just saw that there was new life into this. And I like the move. I really do. And now it's going to become a question of, is this going to get him going? Or have we sort of like maybe hit a wall with Mo Salah? And if there's a big offer from Saudi Arabia, Qatar in January, that we might need to entertain it for a second. And again, club legend, and this is such a difficult one to handle. But the fact of the matter is that his production level is not that far off from what we saw last year. The only difference is that goal or assist has not come. Right? How often were we talking about 85 minutes of Mo's nowhere to be found, but he pops up for 2. And that 2 results in a goal and an assist. Put together one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in European football. Better than Messi. But now it's just not there. And maybe he just doesn't fit in. And I think Florian Wirtz, this team needs to be built around him because he had the green light to go do whatever he wanted to do because defensively everybody else was willing to do the running and you didn't have Mo Salah to have to cover for. And it worked. It fucking worked. So I'm rolling Tide against Sunderland as well with the same sort of look.
2 things that I want to push you on. 1, better than Messi. You just thought you were going to sneak that in there. 2, the team being built around Wirtz.
Well, can I defend the first one? Meaning, like, Messi had never put together that quality of a season from a goals and an assist standpoint in his career.
You want to sit with that?
I know this to be true. It is a fact. That season that he had last year, Messi had never done that many goals and assists. Or there was something about last season related to his goals and assists that Messi had not accomplished.
Okay. Second point, team being built around Wirtz. What does that look like? Because I have in the past like 2 months or so, I have been adamant that he is a confusing footballer, that he's very obviously talented, but his final product and some of the decisions that he makes leave me scratching my head. Like, how is this 100 million pound footballer with obvious technique, but just doesn't have it in the final third? That final ball is not there. Dude. Do you watch him and you're like, yes, that's the centerpiece of my club right there?
There are times, yes.
There are times, right? There are times.
But that's because he hasn't found his way with this specific team without Mo in the lineup. That was the best we saw him play in a Liverpool shirt. And that was the first time that Mo hasn't started a Premier League game since he's been fit, since like the Bush administration. HW, not W, okay? And so with that in mind, like, do you not see some of the things that Wirtz does, and you're like, holy shit, he's a different class?
I know that, but that's why I say this, is because he's very obviously one of the most talented players on the field. I don't know if he is like a good team footballer sometimes. Some of the quality on his passes in the final third is lacking severely. I think he had the freedom to play.
Why would they pay $100 gazillion for him if it lacked? I think that this is all about timing and getting used to a different league and getting used to different teammates. When he was clicking for Leverkusen, you could make the argument that he was the best playmaker in the world at the time.
He was excellent. He was so fun at Leverkusen.
So then don't tell me that he's missing the quality in the final third.
I'm watching Liverpool play, and I'm watching him miss. I am wanting more from him when I watch him play for Liverpool.
Everybody wants more from him, but it's not like he does. It's not like it doesn't exist. It's just it's going to come good. I think I believe that more than I believe most things in this world. And I'm telling you, this is like, it's not because it's missing, it's because it hasn't come to fruition. It's not an if, it's a when.
Okay.
You cannot sit, I'm sorry, Sam, Mitch, you cannot sit there and say that it's like lacking or it's not. Lacking is fine. You can't say that it's missing or that there's a quality about him that doesn't exist for him to not be the centerpiece of Liverpool Football Club.
It's not the quality that doesn't exist. In fact, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is the quality there is so evident. The decision making to me is what is lacking. He doesn't seem to be on the same page as many of his teammates going forward.
There's one person who he's not on the same page with, and I think that's why it's kind of fucking up right now, and that's Gravenberch. And I think that once those two get on, him and Soboslai, two peas in a pod, lamb and tuna fish. Like they're on it. Gravenberch and him, like there were 3 or 4 plays specifically against West Ham where I was like, they don't understand each other yet, because Gravenberch is like Gravenberch isn't all that flashy. He's kind of a dog. He just works. Everything's pretty direct. Wirtz is like looking guys off and like, you know, doing a lot. And I don't think that those two mesh just yet. It will come good.
Okay. All right. I trust.
All right, we'll leave it there. There are some games we haven't got to, but I think we'll get to them in the power rankings because some of the other clubs deserve a shout, and I think that they will get one. So, power rankings. To remind everybody, we have not done this in quite a while. But what we do is say we're going to do a top 4 and a bottom 3 if they played at a neutral field today, right now, right here. So that's the ground rules for these power rankings. Now, I suppose the way to keep this moving is somebody volunteer to do their top 4, and then we will sort of critique, mostly criticize. Tyler, you will be our sacrificial lamb. Go for it.
Okay, so top 4, since this is my by far favorite segment on Sam's Army.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Chelsea, City. I have a really difficult time putting Villa in this.
Why?
Sunderland.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Am I that far off of it? I just don't.
No, I don't think you're far off. I'll give you my. I'm 100% with you on Arsenal and Chelsea. I think that right now, right here, 11 men on the field. They seem to be the 2 best teams, and Arsenal seems to be the best team over the course of the season. So I'm going to say 1-2. I don't think Mitch is going to disagree with that. Now, after that, there's some disagreements to be made. I actually thought the way that they're playing right now, I would give Villa I'd put Villa in the 3rd slot. What is it about them that you're not sort of on board with? Is it just how bad they were kind of looking at the beginning of the season?
I just don't think. Again, I know the power rankings are right now, which I'm not abiding by, but ask anybody, including my wife, if I abide by rules. It's just not really something that I do all that much. I just don't. I don't vibe with them right now. Like I think Sunderland, if they matched up at a neutral site at Wembley tomorrow, I think Sunderland would beat Aston Villa.
Ooh.
I mean, it's hard. I feel like me saying that's not true would be like almost talking shit about Sunderland, and I feel like I just can't do that with the season they're having, and you know the game they just played, like bouncing back against Bournemouth the way they did. Like they just bounced back from everything. They bounced back against Arsenal. They've just, this Sunderland team is awesome. And they're fun to watch right now. So, like, I had them right on the verge of the top 4. I left them at 5. So I had, just to give you mine, I had Arsenal, Chelsea, then I put Villa, and then I put City, then I put Sunderland. So that was my top 5. Listen, I think Villa, maybe your perception of Villa is colored by the fact that Liverpool, like, beat them kind of recently. And that was...
honestly, a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by it. But that was like the only. They had an off. I thought that was an off game for Villa. And other than that, I mean, I've been watching.
An off game for Liverpool, clearly.
Yes, the current form of Liverpool. But like when Aston Villa played Spurs, they look really good. They played City, they look really good. They've looked good in Champions League. Like this Villa team, yeah, they were kind of dog water at the beginning of the season, and people were talking about, Unai is on the hot seat and all this stuff. Man, he has gotten this team playing. Obviously the issues up top, they've seemingly sorted them at least a little bit. I just think this Villa team is playing really well and would be a very difficult team to beat. I do feel like they would beat City. I would take them over City just based on what we've seen from City recently. I would take them over City. I went back and forth on City and Sunderland. I actually didn't go back and forth between Villa and City. I had City and Sunderland kind of right there. I had to go with City because I'll just be honest, I probably would pick them in a neutral field right now. But the fact that Sunderland and City are in this conversation together is not only very interesting, but also very timely, because if I'm not mistaken, they play each other this weekend. They do. Sunderland visit City on Saturday.
After Sunderland play Liverpool.
Yes, they got to listen. Tough week for the Black Cats. But listen, I'm not doubting them. And I actually have a thought on
matchup for Liverpool. I'll tell you what. Not.
Yeah.
And who would have saw that coming? That I would say that on week 14 that Sunderland's a really bad matchup for Liverpool.
I mean, nobody would have said that in week 1, but obviously the way the season's been going, yeah, that's not a surprise. Surprising.
I want to take this segment and I want to show it to us exactly 1 year ago of Sam being like, is Sunderland my 4th best or is City my 4th best team in this? And Tyler being like, oh God, I'm not looking forward to playing Sunderland this week.
100%. It's 100. It makes 0 sense. I got a little diatribe. I'm going to save it until we get to the weekly preview. But so who's your top 4 though? Arsenal, Chelsea, and then who?
Almost chalk. Yeah, it's Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Villa. I actually contemplate putting Liverpool at 4 because on a neutral ground against just about anybody, on paper, Liverpool win that football match. I think what they've shown on the field lately has been uncertain and disorganized, but I think, as Tyler said, it's a when thing. It's not an if thing, and I think they figure it out sooner rather than later. That being said, I'll probably have them at 5. I think Villa's my 4th.
Okay. We don't even need to do bottom 3 at this point. I think there's 3 teams that are clearly below everybody else, and Wolves, by the way, barely even belongs in that conversation as a bottom 3 because they're just alone. FPL we'll get to next week. We do have to talk about the week coming up because we got a double match week. So we got games on Tuesday through Thursday, midweek slate, and then, of course, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So quickly, from the next week, you got 2 games for each team to pick from. Tyler, which of the games speaks to you as most notable, most important, the one you got to watch?
Games this weekend kind of stink.
Yeah, I got a couple. Just to throw some out for the people who
Newcastle Spurs
Tuesday. Yeah,
and then Chelsea Bournemouth. This will be back-to-back weeks of 3 games in a week for Chelsea, and going on the road against a tough team like Bournemouth. I think that's an important game for them.
And they'll be missing Caicedo, obviously. So that's
not for that one.
Why not?
Because there's a game midweek.
Isn't he out for 2 or 3?
I think he's out for 3.
Is he out for 3?
Yeah,
it's a second red of the season.
I guess so.
Yeah, I think he's out for 3 games.
So Newcastle Spurs on Tuesday is an interesting one. Also Bournemouth and Chelsea. Brighton Villa on Wednesday. Kind of a sneaky big one. By the way, we didn't say Brighton. I don't think we mentioned Brighton in the power rankings segment. They are playing some pretty good soccer at the moment. There's a little shout. Mitch, what's one game you're looking at though? Sorry if I took yours.
Nope. I think Wolves beating United in the midweek is going to be really funny. So I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday. And then if we're going to the weekend, I think Palace City is going to be a really fun watch. That one has goals in it.
I think that's midweek, right?
Palace City's on the weekend.
Oh man, I must have looked something wrong because I thought City was playing Sunderland. City is playing Sunderland. What are you missing here?
Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Okay, good. I was like, wait, hold on. What am I missing? I thought you were going to say Villa Arsenal on the weekend.
No. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong week entirely. United West Ham. Still United in the midweek is my answer. United West Ham is fun.
Okay. All right. Villa Arsenal on Saturday morning. It should be an interesting one as well. That's a tough week for Villa, by the way. They play Brighton and Arsenal. The game I was going to point out, apart from Newcastle Spurs, is City hosting Sunderland, and as we basically have talked through already, yes, Sunderland is having an incredible season. This game, when I first saw it on the schedule, my immediate thought was like, this is going to be random, but remember. Anybody see that like video that a tourist took of like it was an African safari of like this elephant just kicking the shit out of a honey badger, and the honey badger just kept attacking this elephant? Most random video I've probably ever seen, but it's like the quintessential like honey badger video. They are just indestructible. They cannot be sort of mentally or physically deterred, and that is this Sunderland team right now. They're just like. They're small, and they're attacking a Manchester City. So, like, Sunderland going to the Etihad, playing Manchester City, for me, is that tourist video. And I thought of it because, like, I didn't know who won that matchup. I mean, maybe the Sunderland or maybe the Honey Badger caused the elephant to have, like, a heart attack or something. So this game is going to finally close that loop for me. It's going to answer the question, did the elephant or the Honey Badger win? And so I'm excited to see. And just shout out Sunderland. What a season they're having. Okay, we are moving on to halftime, where before we get into the weekly what if, which will be a quick one, we have to do a quick word from our good friends over at Kick It. It's been a while. We've had some fill-ins, but now we're going to have the man himself, the real Mr. Promo, do the kickit.net shout out. So, Tyler, what do the people need to know about Kick It here?
Christmas right around the corner, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, whatever your flavor is. If you're looking for a gift for a loved one, for yourself, or just for Jimmy down the block because he's a good guy and helped you move into your new apartment or your new house, Kick It, the basic soccer tennis set, is the gift for you or for said loved one or for said Jimmy down the block. Go to kickit.net, code SAM25, and your loved one will appreciate you forever and ever because it will give them something to do during the summer months. It will give them something to do if there's an indoor field that they can go to around the corner. It is a fantastic game. It'll help you work on your touch, or it'll just help you have a little bit more fun. And if you don't have any friends, you can just juggle the ball on your own and just kick it back and forth to yourself all you want. So even Steven Glansberg can play. Kickit.net, code SAM25, and it's going to get you a little discount on the basic soccer tennis set. You're welcome.
Boom. Easy in, easy out. Now, halftime, we are keeping this extra short weekly what if time for the hypothetical, the 60 Minutes, the flagship show of CBS that always comes on Sunday after football. They just did a puff piece on Lamine Yamal, which, shout out to his publicist. Well done, Mr. Publicist or Mrs. Publicist. Now, if you could pick one player, Mitch, one player or manager who is alive right now, they can be former manager, former player, but they have to be alive right now, for 60 Minutes to do a piece on, who would it be?
Does it have to be a puff piece?
No.
Neymar. Yeah, I think an all-encompassing Neymar interview, sit down. I mean, 60, like, that was such a softball to Lamine Yamal. I don't know if anybody watched that.
What was dude he was wearing? It looked like he was wearing a hard hat. Like, I'm sure that thing cost more than my mortgage, but like I don't understand. Like
his drip is going to evolve. Like, he's an 18-year-old with gazillions of dollars at his disposal. Like, he's going to buy, dude, if I had that kind of money at 18, I would be looking foolish every time I left the house. But then you grow up a little bit. Yeah. Dude, some of the questions and just the general air of he's a baby boy, we need to protect him in that interview is in such contrast to the way the rest of the football world sees him. And I think a lot gets lost in translation too when the interviewer is asking questions in English and his responses are in Spanish. But that was just such a puff piece. Sorry, to answer the question, I would love a really in-depth, interview doesn't even do it justice. I'd love a documentary on Neymar. I think once his race is run, the docu-series is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, more like a 30 for 30 type.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. And by the way, yeah, his race is not run. He's in an interesting situation right now with Santos. He moved back to Brazil. He's supposedly going to play through a torn meniscus over the next couple of games because Santos. Yeah.
What a guy.
Well, listen, he's caught a lot of stuff over the years for being soft, for being easily injured, all this stuff. I mean, the fact that he's willing to go out there in a situation where Santos absolutely needs him, 2 games left. I think they're on. In fact, I know they're tied on goal differential with the team in the last relegation spot, and he's definitely wants to play for Brazil in the World Cup. So it's an interesting situation. I will give him a tip of the cap for he's playing. Tyler, quick, who would you like to see a 60 minutes or let's say 30 for 30 piece on?
Zlatan.
Okay. All right. That works. I was going to say Balotelli. I think that guy's got stories for days that we probably haven't even heard of because we've heard a lot of them. I feel like he's got some that we've not experienced quite yet, and hopefully we will. All right, around the world. Shout out to David in the chat. It is time to talk about MLS, and we are deep in the playoffs at this point. And unfortunately, we haven't had our guy, our hit it and quit it minute man here, but we do now. So, Mr. Hit It and Quit It Minute Man, hit us with maybe a slightly elongated version of your Hit It and Quit It minute on the semifinals that just happened and the final coming up. Maybe throw a little prediction in there if you're feeling spicy.
All right. So let's start where we should start, on the East Coast and in South Florida, where Inter Miami were taking on the Pigeons of New York City FC, who were featured in their 3rd conference final in the last 5 seasons. Yes, you heard that correctly. City Football Group, with their fingerprints over the beautiful game everywhere, every single corner of the earth, including Major League Soccer. So the scouting department continues to do what they do at City Football Group, and they say, no, you're not good enough for City. You're not good enough for the team that we have in Montevideo. But you're good enough for MLS, so this is where we're going to send you before you potentially get sold to our own club, and we, try to scoot around any sort of loopholes that might exist within, financial fair play or whatever it might be. But I digress.
Just a little bit.
Inter Miami 5, NYCFC 1. This is not much of a game. NYCFC did pull one back when it was 2-0. Justin Hack, Brooklyn native, scored the goal, and actually, NYCFC had a chance to equalize, and then Inter Miami came down and scored like 45 seconds later and made it 3-1, and then Inter Miami ran away with it. Tadeo Allende with a hat-trick and has scored 8 goals in this Major League Soccer postseason, which equals the great Carlos Ruiz's record in 2002, and he's 1 goal away from setting the all-time record. Meanwhile, Messi registered like his 4 millionth assist, which is apparently most all-time, so mazel tov to Lionel. But Inter Miami, since they made the decision to bench Luis Suarez, right? Liverpool bench Mo Salah, get a win. Inter Miami bench Luis Suarez. They now have 10 players on the field who will defend, not 9. And who knew that is a good strategy? So they did that in the FC Cincinnati game, and this was following when they were forced to do it in Game 3 of the game against in a series against Nashville. They beat up on FC Cincinnati 4-0. I was actually in the stadium for that. And then they pick apart NYCFC by a score of 5-1. They've won the last 2 games, the conference semis and the conference final, by a combined score of 9-1, okay, against Cincy and New York City FC. And for me, they are the favorite. However, there is a team north of the border in British Columbia. Okay, that's in Canada, for those of you who are geographically inept. Okay, yes, we are talking to Tyler Terrence, the political correspondent for Sam's Army. How you doing? Okay.
Geopolitical.
Geopolitical. Geo-Reina political. Sebastian Berhalter, Thomas Mueller and company get it done at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, where San Diego have been, for whatever reason, sort of very Spursy in the way that they play at home, just sort of very mediocre at best. And San Diego just did not get off the bus. Vancouver were all over them from the moment that the referee said go. Ali Ahmed, remember that name. There are going to be players who are going to take us by storm and are going to get sold to a big club. I'm telling you, Ali Ahmed will be on his way to Europe after the World Cup, after he performs beautifully for Canada in these World Cup games in 2026, the year of our Lord and Savior, as some might say on this podcast, okay? I'm telling you, he is him. He is him. He put guys in blenders all night, and he's been doing it for quite some time. There was rumors that he was potentially going to go over to Germany this past summer, but Vancouver said, no, we're trying to do something special over here. And speaking of something special, I said this on SiriusXM. It's on my Instagram page. Go follow me at TNTerrence. It's going to be riddled with wedding pictures soon enough. I believe we get those back in about a week. But with that in mind, and I don't say this lightly, and I have the evidence to back it up, if Vancouver are to win this game against Miami in MLS Cup, we will have witnessed the greatest calendar year from any Major League Soccer club, period. Yes, Mitchell Goulet, you can raise those beautiful eyebrows at me all you want, but I speak the truth when I say this. Never have we ever had a team win their domestic trophy, Canadian Championship or U.S. Open Cup alike, finish in the top 2 or 3 in the regular season, get to a CONCACAF Champions Cup final, and win MLS Cup. Never have we ever. Okay, Seattle Sounders, who broke the barrier by winning CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2022, okay, didn't even make the postseason for MLS, because that's what CONCACAF Champions Cup is supposed to do to you. It's supposed to make you run out of gas, wear your guys thin at the beginning of the season, and then you have to deal with the arduous dog days of summer. Okay, Toronto FC 2017, one of the greatest MLS teams in my opinion. Canadian Championship, Supporter Shield, MLS Cup. No CONCACAF Champions Cup glory for them. Following season, 2018, they get to CONCACAF Champions Cup final and they lose in penalties to Chivas. Miss out on the postseason and were non-existent in the Eastern Conference in Major League Soccer. Never have we ever had a team that has put it together like this in every single competition and taken home multiple trophies. I'm telling you, Jesper Sorensen, Sebastian Berhalter, and this group will go down as the greatest MLS team in my book if they are to win on Saturday, but only if they're able to take down Lionel Messi. But as we know, final game for Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, and I would not be surprised if Luis Suarez's final game is on Saturday as well. You think that dude wants to sit on the bench and get splinters in his ass for Inter Miami and Major League Soccer? No way, Jose.
Nope.
No way. That's all I got.
You did a great job. And speaking of Luis Suarez, his knees have been running on empty for about 2 seasons now. So the fact he's actually playing at the level he is actually kind of impressive. Mitch, the fact we've never talked about your eyebrows, it's maybe a miss on our part. You do have great eyebrows. I'm glad Tyler finally brought that up.
Thank you.
We're going to skip men's national team talk. We'll talk about player of the year next week. The list itself, for people who are wondering about the candidates, we got Max Arfston, Alex Freeman, Matt Freese, Chris Richards, and Malik Tillman. Not exactly the star-studded list you might be used to or thinking of. But we'll file that away. We'll deal with that at another time. For now, stoppage time. All right. Listen, it's been a tough run. We have had a tough run on the old Overtrain, and I've been Toney's best bets. I will be the first to admit it. Eric will be the first one to call me out on the Discord about it. It's been a tough run. We had another 2 out of 5 week last week. Not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. Obviously, everybody knows last week came with a big asterisk because I was on the road. I was in Miami, and I didn't have my hat on. My hat is back. I have put extra thought. I put an extra hour or 2 into the research that I'm doing on the Overtrain this week, and I promise you, this is from the depths of my heart, down deep where I keep my reserves of optimism about Tottenham Hotspur, because you need to have an endless supply. Tyler's giving me the wrap it up. All right, so Overtrain 5-a-side. We're going Wednesday through Sunday, and as Tyler always forgets, there's going to be goals in each one of these. It's going to go over 2.5 unless I say otherwise, in which case it's 3.5. So we're starting on Wednesday. Bochum and Stuttgart in the DFB Pokal Cup. That's going over 3.5. Thursday, we're going to the Bolivian Premier League, where the Universitario de Vinto is hosting the Strongest. Friday, we're going to the Eerste second division in the Netherlands. Cambuur is hosting Den Bosch, and that's going over 3.5. Saturday, we will go to the A-League, where Newcastle Jets are hosting Melbourne City. And I have a little bit of a thing to say here. A-League has been my favorite league for years to bet overs on. They are on thin ice. They're on probation right now. They need to show me something. Show me some goals in this game, because A-League, the offense is broken across the league right now. So Newcastle Jets, Melbourne City, let's get some goals on Saturday. Finally, I thought long and hard about the 2-versus-1 matchup in Scotland, Celtic hosting Hearts, but I'm not going there. I'm going to the Swiss First Division, where Sion is hosting Young Boys. Whew, there we go. Overtrain 5-a-side. Let's go get rich. Mitch, what do you got for us? I've been Toney's best bet wise.
I got 3 games. I hit last week, and as did Mikey, which his most irresponsible shots on target ladder I've ever seen. But he did make it all back as he promised, which is just baffling. I got another 3 games for you. All of these are on Wednesday. First one is Forest draw no bet against Wolves. They're plus money line right now, which I think is kind of crazy. It's a very weak Wolves team, as we've talked about earlier in this program. Arsenal minus 1.5 against Brentford. I think Gyökeres scores in that one as well. And that's not part of the bet, just minus 1.5 is the bet. And then Napoli to score twice in Serie A on Wednesday against Cagliari. That is altogether plus 475.
Okay. Tidy little profit. Tyler, Ivan Toney's best bet. What do you got?
All right, we're back and we're better than ever with the juiciest juice that you ever are going to squeeze. Bournemouth moneyline against Everton, Fulham draw against City at home, Newcastle moneyline against Spurs, obviously, Arsenal moneyline against Brentford, obviously, plus 2,005 to win 105.
Oh, just had to throw in that obviously in there.
Yeah,
fair play. We stink. I just have to bend over and take it. All right. GOAWs, everybody's favorite segment. Mitchell, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, we could have discussed this during the Premier League segment, but Lucas Paquetá, and
yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Amidst his gambling allegations, seems to not have changed one bit. He got a yellow on Saturday or Sunday, maybe, and then followed it up with just incessant dissent to the referee, almost begging him to give him a second yellow for dissent and then send him off. It was so obvious. And I think West Ham players deserve a little bit of critique here too for not stepping in and like physically removing him from the referee's area. But it was egregious how badly he wanted a yellow card. And then afterward to tweet out multiple times, and this is not a perfect translation, but he played the mental health card. He was like, do you not think that my behavior and all of this like outlandish dissent is because of the things that I'm going through and maybe the problems that I've caught or been through earlier in the season? Yeah, man, maybe. But you don't get to play that card after borderline begging the referee for a second yellow card. And when it's been pretty documented that you are, I don't know, in the betting world or at the very least aware of some friends who are placing wagers on him. It's just not a player that I would want at my club. I feel bad for West Ham fans, and I don't know how this situation gets resolved, but Lucas Paquetá needs to change some things.
First of all, I'm glad you brought this up because I really wanted to talk about this during the Premier League segment. But yes, this situation is crazy. Like, I've read all the stories about sort of his kind of exoneration by the Premier League. And so I don't know what to think as far as how that situation went down the first time. But then to bounce back from that and just do this, it's like, it's insane to me. It's crazy because he absolutely was just obsessed with getting a red card. He needed that red card. He was like, I have to get this red card. I don't even think it was West Ham players' fault. They did pull him away twice. They pulled him away from the referee, and he kept coming back. That was insane. The tweets afterwards, like the tweeting through it, was just a crazy move. It's weird. It's very, very strange, and I don't know what to think about it. But it's definitely worth bringing up. So thank you. Good that you did.
Dude, my best bet might be Paquetá anytime card next time he plays. Like that.
I was gonna say
he's super obvious. Maybe not next time. I think he has to space it out a little bit so as not to raise any hairs. But keep an eye on that. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, Tyler, what's your GOA?
My GOA. Somebody and something that shall not be named, but shall be named at a later date. That's my GOA.
Oh boy, that is a hell of a tease.
Yeah.
I don't even want to follow up because I feel like
you won't follow up. Just keep it moving. What's your GOA?
Keep it going. All right, GOA. I'm gonna give. I just got one. I'm gonna keep it packing, keep it moving here. Abel Braga. So he is a 73-year-old who was just hired to take over Internacional in Brazil. This is his 8th stint managing this club. 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times he's managed this club. At the moment, this is the club that sits in the last relegation spot. So 17th in the Serie A, or whatever they call it in Brazil. He is tied, his club, Internacional, is tied with Santos, Neymar's club, on goal difference with 2 matches to play. So all that, the fact that being his 8th manager, 8th time managing the club, is just an interesting backdrop for what will surely be a compelling relegation fight. The reason I'm giving him my GOA is that in his introductory press conference, which I guess would be his 8th introductory press conference with Internacional, he told the media that he had just told the club's sporting director that he doesn't want the team to wear their pink jerseys over the course of the rest of the season, because when they do, they look like a bunch of hard F-word with hard T's. F-words with T's. Like, apparently that's the translation. It was like, we're in 2025, my man. Like, what are you doing? What? Like, I know you're 73, but like, are you serious? So not only did he have an introductory press conference, but then within an hour or two, he was already putting out official statements with apologies. So it was a tough start to his 8th stint with Internacional. Hopefully, onwards and upwards from here. But shout out to Abel Braga. On a hell of a move. All right, boys. Mitch, Tyler, you guys are the best. Tommy, good luck with the norovirus. Hopefully you'll be back soon. And Mikey as well. Everybody in the Discord chat, you guys are beautiful. If you're not in the Discord chat, get in there by getting in the Sam Server Patreon. We'll see you guys bigger and better. Maybe faster and stronger next week. Cheers.
Norovirus isn't real.